some of this on Thursday as well tomorrow. Oh, good. Okay, here we go. Well, this is for you then. This is for you. I have got a new template open, so I just got a B size template, which will be fine. Um, I'm going to change. I'm probably going to just make a layout that's or get rid of everything on my template because when I do these, all I really need is like a blank PDF is what I'm going to actually create at the end of this in order for our laser to kind of cut it. So I don't have to have the title block and all that jazz. This is like really simple here. So, but what I am, so if you're on your 3D modeling tab, yeah, I just go back to my drafting and annotation tab here. So I'm just back to my regular 2D drawing. In order for that to sometimes look like that, make sure you go back to 2D wireframe. And now you're back to just start how we've been drawing all semester for the most part. I'll still bring up my properties palette here, but I've just got like the new, yep, just a brand new template. I'm in 2D format. What I want to do is just search something to bring in and trace. So this is the labor intensive part of this. I will do this at home while I'm watching a football game or whatever. I'll just sit there and trace stuff out. It's not the most user friendly for this type of drawing. I think that there's programs out there that are way better at like, if you want to do like image creation for like cutting on a laser cutter, any kind of template cutter. Um, there are better programs for sure. I'm just going to use this because this is our mothership program, and so it's a little bit labor intensive. But I still create my stuff this way that I cut on the laser cutter. I just draw it in CAD because I have the programs ready to go. But what I want is an image first, so I'll just go. I'm just going to quick. What I want this year for my Christmas ornament is Jerry Garcia in a Christmas hat, and so that's the one I'd like to hang on my tree. So I'm going to go. You just search for anything, and so I'm just open up a new browser. I'm just looking for an image that I can copy and paste in. Just Control V, Control. Like you can bring in certain image files. There are a way to like, if you're going to do like real work, sometimes you'll create the image file into something that can be imported in to CAD. I'm just going to do this like down and dirty, just like copy paste it in. So totally copyright infringement here. And I'm not going to try to sell my ornaments though. Just using it for personal use anyway.
Okay. So
Create your own drawing, then copy that image onto your that it also.
I want Jerry Garcia in a Santa hat images. So I'm searching for this.
the AI.
Oh no, yeah, they probably are. Hey, yeah. I just like this is all I really want. Just something that's kind of simple is all I'm kind of, I'm looking for something that's kind of simple. So, I mean, well, I'll show you here. So,
Master display.
did you Jerry Garcia smoking a joint? Yeah, you can do that. So there are some different tools you can use here. I'm going to use polylines, and the power of the polyline, it does arcs and segments, and it's just kind of a powerful line. It's easy to. So I trace mine with polylines is what I do, and I mean, really, this would kind of work for me. Maybe I'll just try to like, oh, this is Etsy, so I'm definitely stealing somebody's work here. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a screenshot of this probably. I can just get him kind of in. This is super simple. And I'm gonna be selling these for $5 a piece. No, I'm just kidding. I did buy like there was an event this year. It was a concert that I bought a streaming service to because I couldn't go to it. It's in San Francisco. It was like a 3-day concert festival. I did buy like they were live streaming it, so I did buy the live stream, but then they were selling merchandise there but you couldn't get online to buy it because everybody, I mean, it was all being sold out or whatever, limited quantities, mostly available at the venue, and then it was going to be whatever's left over they were going to put online. So I was like, well, let me see. Oh no, I found somebody on eBay that had already done this. They'd already like screen grabbed what the t-shirts designs were, and they'd already like printed them, and they were about $20. So I bought one, and when it came, they're a little bit blurry. They definitely just did screen grabs and then took it to their t-shirt printing, and I could tell it was not quite as yeah. So it was a total copyright infringement. So I'm just going to copy this. It should just be, so what I did is my screen grab. I use my snipping tool to do my screen grabs, right? So you would have this too. Like if you search SNI snipping tool, comes up as some scissors, right? That's what I use for my screen grabs. Just the Windows. I think pretty much every Windows version has had a screen grab snipping tool. And then I just say new, and it's kind of like drawing a rectangle in CAD. I'm just going to take this image. Then I'm going to copy this. So any image you have, I'm gonna copy mine. I'm gonna go over to CAD. I should be able to just do Control V paste now. I think this works. I never have had this not work for me. What it does is it comes in. I don't know what scale it comes in at though. So whatever I screen grab there, your scale could be huge. I can see that this is already like 100 and something inches probably. I kind of do want it to be big. So what I actually trace these big, maybe not like thousands of inches big. That's a little bit big. So yeah, because then it just, I mean, it doesn't take you that much longer to trace, but it's just maybe bigger than you need. So there's my image. A lot of times I'll do one more thing. I bring these in on layer 0 every once in a while. I brought mine in on the visible layer. It doesn't really matter, but I kind of view like when I'm doing graphic stuff, maybe I'll bring it on layer 0, kind of like where your blocks live. So I'll just push this to layer 0. It's kind of like this. It's not going to affect anything, whichever layer you brought it in really, but I throw my graphics like I would blocks on a layer 0 generally. And then I would want to pay attention to the scale. So at least give yourself like, mine's 100 by 95. If yours is thousands and whatever image you grabbed and pasted in here, then just scale it. So I use the modify command to scale it however I need to do. So it would just be like a scale. I mean, I can scale mine down a little bit, but 100 inches isn't too big to me. But 10,000 would be way too big, or even 5,000. I might scale this down because eventually mine's just going to become like a 2-inch little, or like maybe a 3-inch ornament or something, right? So it's going to be pretty small. But you would just screen grab everything, right click. I don't think we've used the scale command a lot, but here's something that's like 30 by 40, or I don't know what. Yeah, like I've scaled it down quite a bit there. And of course, I've just plopped it down anywhere in model space. I would save this. I'm going to save this one in my week 15 stuff as my imagery for this class here. I actually have a, I'll put it here and then I'll forget where it is for sure. But so for week 15, it's going to be my Jerry Garcia. Garcia Santa, just something, give it a name just so you don't lose it yet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trace this. I will use, like, I'll just use a layer that I have. I mean, we have like good layer. I think the good colors I trace with are usually the magenta color or the blue, the light blue. So I use my construction, or I'll sometimes use another construction layer with change it to magenta. Just something that contrasts. Like I have like grays, reds, whites, blacks here. Just something that contrasts so I can follow it and kind of see it. But so the way I do this is I just do on like I'll just use my construction layer because it's blue, so that'll be good. And I just use polyline and I trace all around this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trace everything out. And I'm going to zoom in, it gets really pixely, but I'm just going to like apply my lines like in this pixeled area somewhere. So all I'm going to do is, but you could use splines. Yes, this is something you could practice on different ways to draw this beyond how I'm doing it. But I generally trace everything with a polyline. Here's my polyline command. The reason why I do that is, and it just wants to know a start point. So I can just start top to bottom or inside out. It doesn't really matter. But I'm going to zoom in here and say, I'm going to start right here. So I usually draw with arcs though, instead of the just straight line segments, unless my design has a bunch of straight lines, but mostly my design is all sweeping arcs all together. Like nothing is really a straight line on this. It's all just sweeping arcs. So I'll use polyline. I've placed it there. And then if you watch your command line, you have the option to turn your polyline into an arc. So I usually choose arc command. Then just arcs in general are so complicated. They can do like a lot of different ways to draw arcs. I use the second point feature. This is one of the so this is after I've chose, a place to start my polyline. Then I've chosen that it's an arc that I want to draw. I use second point. What that does is it kind of just is like the middle point of your arc. And so if I say second point, what it wants to know here, it looks like a straight line, but it's like, well, where's the midpoint of your arc? And then it's going to ask you to establish the end point of the arc. So I use arc second point a lot when I draw here. And I'll back up here and I'll be like, well, this arc to me is pretty well sweeping from here to here, and then maybe it changes a little bit. So I don't know. This is something I get better at as I go, and I'm kind of clumsy at first, but here's like the second point of an arc in the pixel area. And then here's the next point of an arc. And I can kind of see if I pull this arc out and it's following in my pixeled area here, I can kind of get an idea that, because I'm not worried about it being too perfect. I kind of aim for the pixeled area because this is a way sized up drawing that I'm doing. And I'm going to shrink it way down. And some of the like jaggedness that you might show here is really going to be evened out when the image is pretty small. You're not going to see the little line segments that I'm going to do. And so it really doesn't impact it at the end product as much. If my thing was big that I was producing, yes, it would. I'd have all these jagged, because what it does is look like this. So here's arc and second point. I've already picked, that's my second point. Like maybe it arcs down to here, and then I start to lose my, okay, so I'll say there. And then it goes back into, I just keep putting S for second point. So I'm going to say it's still in the arc command. That was the first arc. I just say S again, enter. Now it wants the second point of my arc. So yeah, I'll show you here. So like I'm going to end here. So I'll start mine over. That was me doing like two different arcs. They're all joined because they're a polyline, but I do this in segments too, where I might escape and then restart. So I'll do that here. Like I'll come to this side of the hat, and here's this big sweeping arc. So what I do is I'd be on polyline. I need to pick a point to start. I'm gonna pick the end point of this line here for me. And then as I pull away, it's polyline is default align. So I have to choose arc here. You can either hit A for arc or just choose it from the command line. So I'm gonna force my polyline to be an arc. And then just because the arc command is pretty layered, you get a lot of different command options on how to draw with an arc. And so I choose second point here, S second point. All it does is allow me to establish like the midpoint of that arc that I'm drawing. So if I hit second point, what it wants to know now, it's kind of back to looking like a line, but it's really the second point of the arc. So I'm like, oh, well, here's maybe, and I'm just guessing this. I totally do this by what I call eyeballing it. I'm just eyeballing the pattern and seeing if I can, instead of doing like jagged like line segments though, I'm trying to make it kind of sweeping with arcs. So like here's my second point. I'll just pick there. And then it wants to know the end point of the arc. So see, I could pull this clear almost to here, but then I start to like leave my, yeah. So I just kind of do this in little segments like this. I'll be like, well, it's like from here to here. And then it's back into the arc command still. If you notice like what's on my command line, once I've clicked the center, I've clicked the second point and then I've clicked the end point. And now the arc command, it's because polyline is this continuous command, like a line command is, just keeps going. But in order to draw by the second point, I have to hit S every time I establish an end of an arc. For me, I just remember like when I'm drawing this, like I say, I might be at home with a beer and I've got a football game on and I'm just tracing something. I'm just like got my hand on S and I hit S and enter constantly. So I'm just kind of like, here, this one wants to know where the second, or I need to hit S, enter. Then it wants to know where the second point is. There's second point, and here's maybe my end point. Sure. And then I hit S again and enter. So I'm just constantly going S and enter. This is just what has worked for me. But like I said, and so I visualize this little arc as kind of like, yeah, it arcs around here and then it sweeps the other direction a little bit. So I say that like maybe this is just the center of that, and then it's going to come down to here, maybe there, and then it's going to sweep dang near straight for me here. Like I can almost tell that this would probably work as like if I just went to an L for line, because that's one of my command line options is L. L, enter. And now I'm back to just a line instead of an arc. And maybe this thing, I don't like the line though either. So maybe I'll go back to A for arc. And then maybe I'll establish S for second point. Here's a second point. And then maybe it kind of actually sweeps a little bit like this way to me before it hits this. Maybe I'll just terminate and I'll escape here. But this is just me tracing, the best I can in that pixeled area. And if I zoom in here, yes, and I select these lines, they're also, you can modify them because they have midpoints and these arcs and second points. You can kind of push them, just grab the grip and push it if you need to. Even this little dip in this, it probably won't even show up once it's small. Like this is just a really small little dip, which I could kind of save the contour a little bit by, adjusting the midpoints on either side of it. But I mean, it's kind of labor intensive, but I would just trace this all out. So I'll trace this little section here. And then eventually what I'm going to do is like join them all. So I'm just going to do a little quick synopsis. So I'm going to have to trace I'm going to trace every little line here. And then what I'm going to have is just, and I'm kind of hook everything together too. So when this shape transfers to this shape, I'm going to make sure that I pretty much start at the end point of that line that I left off. Trace this around. I'll even trace it around all the way through here. And then I'll pick up on this line. So I'll have these like polygons that I can like close. Like once I get the red part done, I'll probably enclose that polygon. I'll join all these, even if I'm doing it in separate sections. At the end, I'll just join them as kind of that solid. And then this little hat will be this solid. And so I just keep making kind of like solid join closed polygons is what I'm looking for. Because you're kind of thinking of like a machine is going to cut these lines, and machines don't like to have breaks in the polygons unless you planned them out or whatever. So it likes to have like join geometry. And I'll pick up on this tomorrow and do some more too. I just want to get you guys started because some designs can take a little while to trace. But I'm going to trace this all out, and then let me just give like a little these other drawings that I brought up. So I'll show like let me turn on my Grateful Dead bears. You can see here. This is one that I finished, right? Like I came in here and I just the way I interpreted this is I had almost by colors, I kind of traced them and closed all these polygons. So let me just turn off. I think this hopefully is on layer 0, the actual image. Yes. So eventually I'm gonna end up with something like this, right? All my lines have been traced. Ideally, these are probably closed polygons, anything that's closed. Yeah, his whole outer body is all one polygon. His face is. Each of these are all closed. I've gone through and made sure I close them. If I zoom in, wait, though, you can see if I zoom in, it looks kind of joggy. And that's because it's a really big image and it shows that inaccuracy. Even, I mean, this you even might think that this is not going to look good, but it actually will. I've already cut this one out and it looked great. So what I have is this large image that I can now scale down. And so what I've done is I've scaled it down to this size here. But what I've done is I've selected these polygons to kind of be different features. So one of them became an etch and one of them became a cutout. And because our machine will do etching, it'll do scoring, and it will do cutouts. So it'll do 3 different functions. And so what I've told it, what I'm doing here is once I've got these polygons, I scaled them all down so they're the same size so they fit in each other. And then I removed the stuff. This is stuff that I wanted to just be etched. So this I just decided I'm going to pull these polygons out once originally he was over here and he was scaled down, everything scaled. I think I built the little like hook on him after all that was done. After everything was done, I decided where I wanted to put the hook. I think this one's a keychain, but it could be an ornament. And so then I've pulled these ones off to the side. I've applied a hatching and I'm not gonna I don't yeah I have applied a hatching and that can be handy I think if I think about this and that's my etched stuff. I left these together. This is going to be cut. The outer profile is going to be cut out. And I left this one in here too, but what I did on this one is I had it be a score. So on the machine, it brought in both of these and kind of recognized them as maybe a cut, like an inside cut and an outside cut. It's just that I told the machine that this one is not a cut, it's a score. And so I ended up with, I don't think I even have an example. Maybe I can't remember if I kept this and it's in my drawer, or let me just pass something around that has. Yeah, I do have him. Oh, I did one in his leg. For whatever reason, the PDF, his leg didn't interpret. But if I pass him around, here's my bear. You can see what turned into an etch. And then his little scarf, I just did an outer profile on that one. I did him as right. So the little thing that I have highlighted there is just the machine just did an etch, or sorry, did a score, which is not cut through, but just you can see the cut. I've cut mine on just a clear acrylic because the etching shows up pretty good on acrylic, clear acrylic. On wood, like my other things, like this is all this has been done with, and I actually trace these the same way, right? So this is my cell phone holder that I use, but I promise them no when this happens. So all that is like outer cuts, and then I trace the ISU logos and trace some letters. And so when it etches on wood, it looks really good. It just goes dark, right? And so etching on wood is what's created that. So if I cut my little guy on wood, my little black etching would be nice and dark. This would be the outer profile, and you can still, yeah, I think you can score on wood as well. So it'll just look like a little light line that's been cut. What are some other ones I've done? I've just done these for fun and because I like this laser cutter, and I haven't used it much this year because of Canvas. I blame Canvas. Yeah. And sometimes it takes some trial and error. Oh yeah, this is a wood scored one that's just the ISU logo, but it's, yeah. So, but the first part is just getting it all traced, and then you can decide like what you want to make what, and then how to kind of like. I feel like there's a little bit of a graphics design thing going on here that you've got to decide how to kind of I don't know make this look how you want it. It looks like on this one here, I did the similar thing here as I trace everything. This became my etching stuff. This lightning bolt became a scored thing. And then my outer profile was all cut. It looks like an alien head a little bit, but first step is get to here, and then you can choose how. And then it gets more complicated if you want to actually make like templates out of it. So like or if you want stuff to drop out and stuff to stay, like that's another complicated design graphics thing to me, because if you cut an outer profile and you want some of the inner profiles to cut out and stay, well, then you come up with what I think of as like positive and negative kind of graphics. And that's what I have going on here, which is these ones here I traced. These are really made from the same tracings. I've traced everything with Benny the Bangle here. But then in this case, it's like not being etched or anything. This is being cut, just cuts only. And so I've had to like go back and like add some areas where it's not going to cut out and fall out. It's going to stay. So in this case, the white is going to all stay like on a piece of plate or something, or on a piece of if I had like a hook, like what we were making here is maybe some hooks for a grinder or something that might hang on a wall, and it's just out of one piece of plate. Well, then I kind of had to envision that my white was what was going to stay and the black was going to drop out. And so I had to hook the white to the white, right? So I've had to go into the image and actually add some of these lines where I felt like I could hook like polygons together and then cut, trim and cut them so they stay connected. That way the white stuff all stays connected, and so it's all joined together somewhere. It's like a maze. I've had to kind of pick where it hooks and joins, and the black will all drop out. But if you choose the other way, it ends up looking like this. If I let the white stay, if I just choose like I mean, these are the same image. It's just that they're kind of positive and negatives in some way, versus what I had drop out on this one. And it totally changes what the image looks like too, right? Like it drastically has a change on what the image looks like. I preferred this one on the left. The previous instructor that had done this one. I was like, well, I think I like the reverse of that. So I had to hook his eyes together here, whereas this one didn't. They let him drop out. So I hooked his eyes into his face. The funny thing is I did this one originally and then I cut it once. And what I liked is when I didn't know this until I like was removing the parts from my little laser cutter. And I was like, ooh, actually I like what I'm dropping out better than what I'm keeping here. So I just did the reverse. I was like, actually, I want to keep the reverse of that. So there's a little bit there, we could do some trial and error. Once you get a design that you're ready to cut, I can maybe help choose it, and we can maybe have to cut one to see how it looks. But um, and then we can look through the inventory too when you see. But I just have some different colors acrylics, which they tend to etch and score pretty good. But I have a few different colors, not a whole bunch, and then I have a few different types of wood. So, yeah. And what else would I say about this? What I would say is what I'm doing. If I go back to my Grateful Dead bear, I had my B-size sheet, but I just deleted everything. So if I go back to Jerry Garcia, when I get the image ready to put on a sheet, I'm just going to delete everything on here. I don't want viewport. Oh, I do want a viewport. Maybe I want one that's easier to manipulate. So I'll add another viewport, but I get rid of everything here. Just get rid of it all. So I'm just a blank sheet. I can keep it sized by an 11 by 8. That's going to be fine. Because what I would do is I would add a viewport here. I'll put it on my viewport layer. I'm going to add my viewport. So once it gets to be able, I just want to make a PDF for it. That's actually pretty close to what I want. Although it's going to come down here. It's going to be the small size here somewhere. But so I'd add my viewport here. I'm going to save my file. So I have not saved as, but save again. So I got my sheet pretty well simplified. Because if I go to my sheet here, this is all I wanted. I just wanted my viewport zoomed in here. And in this case, I don't want my construction layers on or my construction layer 2 on. This is what I actually PDF. So if I control P, this is what my PDF is going to be. And the machine will interpret a PDF like this. It'll bring in both of these images. And then I get to tell the machine one's an etch, one's cut, and one's score. And then so I can choose these different polygons. And actually I'll keep them separate like this when I bring them in. And then in the machine, I'll move this one onto this one. Yeah, I think so. I don't know if I probably could place this on top of that. I maybe found it was easier if I kept them separated and then I aligned them in the machine program better. But and I think I can give you guys all access to the Glowforge. I'll see maybe this afternoon I'll send everybody like to the Glowforge. Yeah, because what it's called is a Glowforge, and it's just you go to their, if I invite you to be able to hook up to ours, you'll be able to I think I just send out an invite, then you go to Glowforge. I don't think you have to make an account. Maybe you do, but it allows you to like bring in your PDF and then like have the machine interpret it. So I'll show that tomorrow for sure. And I'll keep tracing out my Jerry Garcia this afternoon is what I'm going to do. Get my Jerry Garcia Santa traced out. I might have to add a hook to him somewhere. And then tomorrow for sure I'll make a second video that shows me in Glowforge and how I might manipulate this. But I think I've had them over the top of each other, and then I found that it was hard to, for some reason, I can't remember because I haven't cut on it this year, but for some reason I did decide to keep the etching and cuttings just separated and then bring them in on the machine together was easier, something for some reason. I think it's because they're just so close together that it was hard. I do remember a little bit now because those polygons are going to be so close together, and the way that the machine interprets a PDF is a little bit clunky. It's definitely designed to accept a DXF file way better. So it will cut off a PDF, but it almost like makes it a way overcomplicated like line segments. So it was just hard to like manage all of those being so close together. It was easy for me to like do a mass grab on this etch over here and then bring him in and place him, kind of eyeball him there. He looks even on this other one. And then because it's like when it comes in, I'm able to first select him as just etch only, select his outside profile as cut, and that inner one as score. So I could establish the cut sequence, and then which usually score and etch first, and then you'll cut out last, obviously, if that makes sense. The cuts become the last thing. The outer profile cuts, cut it out of etch it and score it first, and then cut it out. So you can orient the order of operations, and then what else would I say? And then and then just overlay it really quick, and it was pretty easy to figure. I think it took me a little while to figure that out, or a couple of trial and errors actually, to see what was best, because PDFs are not the best to work from, but they work and they're free. So I didn't have to buy a subscription to run a DXF like they made me, but so I've just stayed with PDFs for this machine. And why I want to show you this is because you continue to have access to a laser cutter. Like Alicia never uses hers over in her room, but if I teach you how to use it, and you can always use mine next year, even if you're over in that class. So I prefer to use these things rather than let them sit here and collect dust, and things don't last forever anyway. So
your laser cutter starting in the middle of classes, you'll regret saying.
they are loud. It is a little bit loud. I try to cut after class, and some of you know that. Like I remember Jen saying, "What is the decibels of that?" And it is pretty high. It's putting like me sitting next to it. It does. I am at a higher decibel level, so I would love to have a different room for these to go in. And it smells like cutting plastic and burning wood. Yes, it definitely does. Smells like a shop. But so really what I would like is if you guys do some of this and come up with something, we can troubleshoot it, and we'll pull up Glowforge tomorrow, and I'll bring my design in and show. And then I should send you links this afternoon so you have access to Glowforge. And yes, so that's what we'll do. Heck yeah. For those of you that are done. Others, but I also will do the angle bracket tomorrow too. So I'll still finish my last 3D object and then go into the next phase of this. But yeah, draw away. You can draw as much as you want. I always feel like I just trace everything out, and then I have to determine how tricky I have to get to make the shapes how I want them. So if I'm doing cutouts, it's a little more complicated. If I'm just doing scoring and etching, it's actually kind of simple. So yeah, I'll cancel that. Yeah, it's super fun. It's just a useful, it just shows you that your CAD is useful for creative purposes too. There's better programs for doing this. Like the better programs, what they would do is you'd be able to bring in an image and it would recognize it as kind of a silhouette. And it would almost extract a lot of this that like in CAD, I'm having to kind of labor intensively draw it. There's probably like some easy cut design software, just like there's 3D modeling software that's really just like cut and dry, gets to the images faster. So, but I'm okay with it being like, I don't mind drawing mine. So anyway, that's it, you guys. And then I think I'll also show you how to do lettering too, right? So I think that's something because I can use the text in CAD and bring it in, but then I can kind of like do like a text edit so that it becomes something that could be cut. Like the machines won't just read the text as we see it on the screen. It'll need to be like drawn and traced if that. But there is a quick way to make text into something that can be cut. So I'll show that one too in case there was any text you wanted to cut. Yeah, I'll show that as well. But this will be my part one for yeah, getting ready to laser cut something. Good.